and payment will be in Indian rupees. And there is a circular from the Reserve Bank of India a year ago. Now, there are some common challenges. I did some research on India-Africa relationship and their economic status. There are some common features and challenges for Africa and India, which should engage all of us as stakeholders in agri-business. That must engage all of us, and we need to find more positive outcomes and common solutions, African countries and India together, and it is possible. What are these challenges for these two, Africa as a continent and Indian subcontinent? One is food and nutrition security. We may not be food insecure today, but we are certainly nutritionally deficient. For food security will be a long-term challenge. Therefore, food and nutrition security is an area that needs a lot of attention from both sides. Smallholder cultivation. Like in India, we have smallholders. 80% of the farmers hold less than 2 hectares of land. Same case here, smallholder cultivation. Climate change is one of the biggest challenges that's facing mankind. And we have to catch the bull by the horns, as they say. We need to work together to have smart agriculture, climate resilient agriculture, etc. I think, and there are technologies available for this. Another common challenge is agriculture infrastructure. We need to invest more heavily in agriculture infrastructure. India is obviously expanding its agriculture infrastructure, but I think given the challenges in that area, we need a lot more investment. The same goes for African countries. Lot more infrastructure investment is required. And there are some companies in India with strong interest in agri infrastructure, which are actually willing to come and invest in Africa. For Africa is actually in a position now to attract investment from India. Many of the companies are actually setting up their offices and operations in Africa. And of course, both African nations and India have a very large population to feed, and that's extremely important. For there are a lot of commonalities, and these commonalities can be leveraged by working together. By working together in 4 different areas, in my view. We can work together to promote trade. We can work together to promote investment. We can work together to promote research. We can work together to promote technology. Yesterday's research is today's science. Today's science is tomorrow's technology. And therefore, we need to be working together. We need to be spending research dollars, both India and most of the African countries together, to come up, for example, as I said, with climate smart agriculture, etc. All that. Coming specifically to Tanzania, it's very, very interesting. India-Tanzania two-way merchandise trade is today in excess of $5 billion. And over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been growing. Very, very interesting. And therefore, Tanzania is such an important trading partner for India. And therefore, I think this is the overall background, overall context in which over the next 2 days, we shall be discussing a series of crops, a series of topics and themes. I'm sure you have in the agenda, you have all the topics and themes together. We have some of the brightest minds, some of the top class speakers and domain experts who are going to be here to share their thoughts and to share their views. I think this is going to be an extremely enriching seminar, summit, Africa-India Agribusiness Summit 2023, in my view, is going to be extremely enriching for all the participants who are assembled here. And I can assure you, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, and there is a lot more that can happen over the years in cementing the Africa and India relationship. There is one big announcement which I want to make, but I want to draw Dilip's attention and Suviv's attention. Shall I make that big announcement? Okay, let me make that big announcement. We are forming Africa-Asia Agri Alliance. Okay? We are now today talking about Africa-India agribusiness, but we are now setting up a platform called Africa-Asia Agri Alliance. It is not merely agriculture trade. Trade will be a part of it, but lot more than mere agribusiness and agri-trade. It will look at investment. It will look at research. It will look at technology transfer, etc. For the focus of Africa-Asia Agri Alliance, which is 4A, the focus of these 4A will be 4 pillars. This alliance will stand on 4 pillars: trade, investment, research, and technology. I think that's the way forward. And this bunch of promoters, the entrepreneurs, Tasso Events, is absolutely bent on ensuring that we take this big idea forward over the years. It's going to take time, but the idea is very clear, the roadmap is very clear, and Tasso Events is going to take this forward wholeheartedly with a lot of commitment. And the government of India in several different ministries has expressed its consent and is going to support this event, because the focus of India is increasingly on Africa. With this, let me stop. Let me say good luck. God bless you all. Have a great summit over the next 2 days. And now I need to invite Romi to take over. Is that right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for that very heartwarming address, setting the tone, the context, and the brilliant piece of good news that we all are witness to share today on this platform. With that, it now gives us pleasure to invite Shri Atul Mundraji and Shri Dilip Kabraji to kindly felicitate all our guests of honor sitting on this stage. So ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause for Shri Atul Mundraji and Shri Dilip Kabraji as they now felicitate all our esteemed dignitaries on this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to join in with your thunderous applause as these mementos are now presented to all our dignitaries. So here we go. So starting off with Mr. Chandrasekhar, let's have a memento, and Shri Dilip Kabra and Shri Atul Mundraji will present these. Let's have a memento presented to Honorable Ms. Anisa Kapuvi Mega, the High Commissioner of Tanzania to India, our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause. To Honorable Ms. Latifa Mohammed Hamis, the Director General, Tanzania Trade Development Authority, our guest of honor. Let's have a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please. May we request Suresh Ji to kindly join us now to give away the mementos. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Vinaya Shrikanta Pradhan, High Commissioner of India, our guest of honor. It's indeed such a big honor. I request Chandrasekhar Ji to kindly present this memento along with Mundraji and Kabraji. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a big, big, big honor for us. To Mr. D.D. Gupta, Managing Director, Savera Commodities and Emeritus Chairman, Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, our VIP guest. Let's have a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please do join in.
Mr. Guru Prasad, I join us. Great warm welcome, sir, to you. Thank you.
To Mr. Bimal Kothari, Indian Pulses and Grains Association. Let's have a big, big round of applause. May we request Mr. Guru Prasad to kindly join us here to give away these mementos. Thank you so very much. To Mr. Natindi, the Chief Chairman and Managing Director of Air Tanzania Corporation. Let's have a big round of applause. And ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank Air Tanzania. They are our travel partner for this very esteemed event here. Thank you so very much, Air Tanzania. Indeed, we loved flying Air Tanzania. There was absolutely no turbulence whatsoever. And we love the food as well. And now with that, we'd like to take the pleasure of inviting onto the dais His Excellency, Vinaya Srikanta Pradhan, the High Commissioner of India, for a short speech. Sir, if you would please.
Very good afternoon, namaskar. Let me begin by greeting the colleagues, the dignitaries on the dais. Let me welcome the delegates who have come from India. It looks like the delegates have actually taken over the city of Dar es Salaam. I think first time I am seeing such a big delegation coming from India. So a special welcome to, so on behalf of the High Commission, a special welcome to each one of you who have come from India. So let me take a few minutes to set the context from Government of India side. I think you all are experts on the agro industry aspect, so I don't have to get into the detail, but let me say a few words from my 2 years of experience and how I have seen the market here, the government here, working in the sector, and how the bilateral relationship is evolving on the agriculture sector. Probably I feel that probably that will give you some perspective while you are negotiating your business engagements, while you are discussing with your private sector colleagues in Tanzania. So just a historical perspective, I think Mr. Chandrasekhar mentioned about the relationship, mentioned about a larger context of India and Africa. He also mentioned about the merchandise trade. But if you look at the agriculture sector, I would say it remains a priority area between the two governments. Of course, it goes without saying that in both the economies, in both the countries, agriculture remains the largest employer. Agriculture sector, provides a large chunk of our GDPs. But if you look at our bilateral relations, it was a major area of cooperation. I think the Indian diaspora, many of whom are present here today, they played a big role in contributing to agriculture sector in Tanzania, even in pre-independence period. And post-independence time, you would be happy to know that during 70s, during 80s, during 90s, we used to have a government-to-government engagement through which agriculture sector experts from India would come and work here with the government of Tanzania. So we have a rich history of working in this sector. And if you look at the if you look at the engagement, it's not limited only to a particular aspect. Like I was going through some of the statistics. So if you look at the Indian investment here in last 25 years, our investment is about $4 billion. And in that, the largest segment is agriculture sector. So as per the Tanzanian Investment Center, there are 46 projects where Indians have invested $651 million, which is providing direct employment to 14,563 jobs. So it's an underrated area. People don't talk much about agriculture sector cooperation, but it remains a very strong pillar in our bilateral relation. I also come across many people who are not Indian registered companies. So many people, particularly in Tanzania, they are seen as investment from UAE, they are seen as investment from Mauritius, but they are practically Indian investment. So I would say Indian investment in agriculture sector in Tanzania has remained substantive. Our people have worked here with the farmers, with the cooperatives, with the government in areas like cashew, coffee, other cash crops in pigeon pea. So it's a very symbiotic relationship, a cooperation which goes to decades old. And thanks to the duty-free tariff preference scheme, we are importing a large chunk of Tanzanian agro products to India. And if you look at our bilateral trade, last year it was $6.4 billion bilateral trade. Our export was about $3.9 billion. Their export was about $2.5 billion. And from their export of $2.5 billion, large chunk was from agriculture sector. So whether it was cashew or pigeon pea or spices or soybean, you find that agriculture sector is contributing in a big way into Tanzanian export basket to India. And last year, of course, we added, thanks to my friend, the CEO of Air Tanzania, we added avocado, and we started sending it by air cargo. And now, subsequently, of course, it's now going even by sea cargo. But now, recently I was visiting a avocado producing region called Jombe. So in Jombe region, the producers, they are saying that we are unable to cater to the demand of avocado from India. And the Tanzanian avocado, within a short span of 15 months, has practically taken over the Indian market. Largely, again, thanks to the duty-free tariff preference scheme, because it's not paying any custom duty or GST while the other competitors are paying. So now with Dar es Salaam port logistics being streamlined, I'm sure even direct trade between India and Tanzania would go up. At the moment, we are finding many of Tanzanian export going to India via Mombasa. I think that's going to change very soon. Now, having spoken about the trade and investment side, let me also say my experience of last 2 years. I found many Indian agriculture sector investors coming here, directly from India, coming from Dubai, coming from other areas. People who are coming with financing, they are looking for investment here. I found people coming for investment in contract farming, into edible oil, to fruits, for spices, for avocado. People who are coming for agro-processing. Some companies have come with bigger ideas of setting up agriculture-based industrial park, like like I see the name of Arise. I think they have done such projects in some parts of Africa. Of course, we are also into now promoting Indian tissue culture here. Recently, we had big companies from India who met the agriculture minister. They kind of presented about how we can introduce Indian tissue culture advancement into Tanzanian agriculture sector. So I think if I want to give you an impression about how you should look at this market, I would say the relationship between the two countries' agriculture sector is going to deepen. This is a place which has large complementarities, and we can actually work towards linking Indian food security to the agriculture sector development in Tanzania. Fortunately, the government here is largely focused now to promote the agriculture sector, both in terms of bringing more areas into irrigation. Like in India, we have schemes for doubling farmers' income. In Tanzania, they are now having schemes to increase the productivity of agriculture sector, increasing its share in GDP to 10%. So I think this is an area of priority both for government of India, and I'm happy that I'm seeing such a large gathering from India coming to Tanzania for this sector's cooperation. So needless to say that High Commission of India, my head of the commerce wing is also there, Mr. Kumar. We are at your disposal. If you want to use us for your follow-up meetings, you want to use us for your some other verification, we'll be at your disposal. Thank you very much. Let me conclude by thanking the organizers for putting up such a beautiful event here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, sir, for blessing us here at this event with that very insightful address. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed further, we have a very humble housekeeping request that you kindly take a moment to turn your phones onto a silent mode, please, so that we do not disrupt the proceedings up on stage. Once again, we'll give you a minute to kindly turn your phone to a silent mode, please. Thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, please do join us now, as we would like to acknowledge the presence of our dignitaries amongst us seated down here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have from the USAID Tanzania, Professor David Nyange. Let's have a big round of applause. Sir, I request you to kindly stand and identify. Here we have Professor David Nyange. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. Thank you so very much for joining us, sir. We also have from the CEO of Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, Ms. Mwamna Hamis Hussein. Let's have a big round of applause. Ma'am, may I request you to kindly rise as there she is. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Thank you so very much for joining us, ma'am. And we also have the Director of Investment Promotion, Tanzania Investment Center, Mr. John Mnali. I request Mr. John Mnali to kindly rise. There he is. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for gracing this occasion here, sir and ma'am. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's now our pleasure to invite up onto the dais Honorable Ms. Anisa Kapufi Mebera, the High Commissioner, Tanzania to India, our guest of honor, and we request her to kindly give us an address.
A very good afternoon to you all. Thank you so much. Namaste. I'm delighted to be here. And before I proceed with my speech, I was told when I was outside that most of the delegates here from India came from India they've flown with ATCL, the wings of Kilimanjaro. And that is a very, very encouraging news to me as an ambassador, but also to our CEO, Dr. Matindi. Thank you so much for the good work, for promoting ATCL, and I would encourage to continue doing so. We've got a very good service within the flight, and the MC, I noted, he said there was no turbulence at all. Thank you so much for the good remarks. I'm profoundly grateful for inviting me here to attend this conference, and I congratulating the organizing committee for bringing together all the stakeholders to this very important conference. During the upcoming 3 days, I'm sure participants will be able to share experiences and exchange ideas on improving our agricultural productivity, addressing the challenges facing agriculture, food security, and soliciting market for our products between our two countries. As you all know, the world population is averagely 8 billion people, and out of that, the Asian continent alone is estimated to have a population of 4.6 billion. And this tells us that increased agricultural production is necessary for food security for our people. And in order to meet the target of feeding this huge population, research and development on quality nutrition